I apologize. I was
you're good.
we got a blizzard yesterday, so I have 4 and 5 foot snow drifts in my driveway that I've been trying to whack out with my lawnmower / plow for the last 3 hours. So I lost track of time, and if I hadn't got off to warm up for a sec, I would have totally forgot about this. So I'm glad
That's
I
all
got
right.
off.
That's all right. So here, let me do this. I'll introduce
Yeah.
you so Maddie knows where to edit to start the recording here, because we want this to record and we'll put it on our site. So, all right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday. That means it is time for the Wednesday webinar, and we appreciate you guys jumping on. We appreciate our guest this morning coming on and teaching us everything he knows about Medicare in the next 30 minutes. And I joke because that would take much, much longer than 30 minutes. Joshua Youngs is a guy that, for me personally, has changed the way I look at what is possible when it comes to Medicare. I always say Josh is probably going to tell you his numbers and stuff like that from this last AEP. And I always say, I said it many times, there's 2 types of people when they hear these numbers. One are going to say that's not possible. He had to cheat. He's got to have a team of 72 people working round the clock to do that. Or there's people that are going to say, you know what, if he can do it, why can't I do it? Right. And that's the type of people that we want here at Impact. That's the type of people that we want to watch and learn and listen. So Josh, take it away, buddy. Again, thank you very much for being here.
Sure. I'm happy to be here. I hope everyone had a great AEP. I didn't have my best AEP number wise, but I had my best AEP psychologically. And the main reason was that I took 9 days off. I tried to coast as much as possible. And it still was a great year. I still kicked Tyler's butt handily. And as long as I do that, I'm always happy. Yeah, I know. Only this year I tripled him up. But so, yeah, Medicare, the business, insurance, whether it's life insurance, Medicare, whatever, I think it's all the same. I get asked the same things all the time. How do you get so many referrals? How do you do what you do? I think even people on my team wonder that sometimes, and they get an inside look at how it happens. And so when Dallas asked me today, what should I talk about? My big thought came to OEP, and that's really where I'm now pivoting to. To me, OEP, if you do it correctly and compliantly, is like a second mini AEP, if you'd like to look at, if you look at it correctly that way. I don't remember how many I did in OEP last year, but it's the same thing. Believe it or not, I'm not going to say anything radical to do differently. But what I will do is give you a few things to go off of to get yourself started. So number one, for me, OEP, the number one priority is retention. So I just wrote 440 applications. Now I have 440 people to make sure they stay on my bus. And so there's little things that'll have people get off your bus before you even start the bus, which are their doctor's not correct, or they haven't gotten their card yet, so they have no idea what's going on. My staff and I now have started what I call my quarterly calls, and usually we make a quarterly call to every single client. Either me or one of my staff calls every single person. So right now, the phone calls are all about, have you got your new card? Do you have any questions? Do you want to set up your in-force appointment with Joshua in January? So all these applications I just wrote, I'm now going to go back in January, go over everything one more time, and I'm going to position for cross-selling and referrals. So referrals are something you get from one of two things. Either someone's really, really nice and likes to share things and you did really, really awesome, or you teach your client how to refer. So if it were me, if you want to have a great OEP, the way you do that is you service your current book of business now you just wrote and what you had before, and not just ask for referrals, but in essence, put them in a position where it's really easy to refer people to you. And what I mean by that is, don't just hand them a card. Don't just hand them a piece of paper. Don't just tell them to go to the website. Don't tell them to have them call you. What you need to do is get an agreement with the person of what your value proposition is. And so again, if you're sitting in front of them after you told them you're going to come back and all these things, and all these things start lining up, to me, the experience of working with you is what's going to get you referrals. It's not going to be you asking. It's not going to be anything else. There's also certain pockets of population that I like to focus on in the first quarter. For me, first quarter is the best time of year to go after the low income market. So if you have any conduits into a food bank or into a low income housing or other things, this is the time of year that you do that. And the reason is a lot of folks that are on Medicare and Medicaid are on Medicare, Medicaid, and a drug card only. And any of those folks are full true ups if you write them onto an Advantage plan, special needs plan. Now, if you write that person in October, you're going to get 4/12 of the true up because it's prorated. However, January, February, and March effective dates for these duals, you're going to get 9/12 or more of the full true up, making it more financially incentivized for you to work on that population right now. So OEP for me is threefold. It's about retention, it's about referrals, it's about finding people that lazy agents didn't even talk to during AEP. And so there's three questions that I would ask every single person that I run into. Did you shop your plan? Number one. Because if they didn't shop their plan, that's usually a red flag to me that either they don't have an agent or they have a crappy agent, because they should have at least looked or at least talked to somebody about it, right? And so I would start with that. Start with who helped you? Did you evaluate? When did you hear from them last? And what you're really trying to do is paint the picture of what it looks like to work with you. And so what I might say is, I just got done talking to one of my other clients to make sure they got their ID cards and they don't have any questions. Does someone do that for you every year? You want to put them in a position where they think, well, why wouldn't I want you to work with me? Why wouldn't I want your help? So that's number one thing. You create a list. Again, I call it the Hot 100. In essence, what you want to do is create a list and start with your clients. If you have 100 clients, start there. And do 100 at a time. So something about psychologically doing things in pieces is easier than looking at the whole thing. But I would start with making a list of your clients. I would start with reaching out to make sure they all have their card, make sure they don't have any questions. And if you missed somebody on the evaluation, now is the time to fix that. And I would also be educating all my clients what OEP means, and let them know that the buzzards aren't gone. The scavengers are still out there. And if you're not constantly educating your client on how to get rid of those kind of things, AKA, agents that are looking to steal your client. And so OEP to me is no different than any other time of year. Turning 65 seminars, business as usual, running those kind of things. The added part is now you have a whole new book of business. Hopefully you had a good AEP, whether you did 20 or 30 or 50 or 100 or whatever it was. You have new, fresh bodies in your family now to go work through and get more referrals from. And the goal should be to get 25%. So if you have 10 clients, 2 or 3 of them should send you a referral. And out of every 10 of those, 2 or 3 more. And if you keep cycling that through, if you get going with a good referral system that you have in place, it's going to create more opportunity for you. So let me give you a few things of what I would do. Number one, when I'm looking at Medicare Advantage, for me, I've seen a lot of people out there. I've seen some posts. I've done 100, I did 200, whatever hospital indemnity apps during AEP. Number one, I don't know how anybody has time to do cross-selling during AEP. I do no cross-selling at all unless it like falls in my lap for turning 65 or something. But now is your opportunity to go back on that in-force appointment. And one of the big reasons I like to do that, it closes the first sale, and now you're in front of them again, and you can talk about hospital indemnity. It's a natural crossover to do that. And so I would be working my current book for retention. I'd be working my current book for cross sells for hospital indemnity, dental, that kind of thing. And then I would be working for referrals heavily. I would not do any lead drops between now in the end of the year. Any lead drop that you do or any kind of marketing through direct mail, I would wait until January 1st to do any of that. In my experience, any lead drops you do this time of year, they end up getting buried under the holidays. So yeah, at this point, most of the time on these, I end up just yapping back and forth. What I'd like to do for the next few minutes or whatever time we have left is kind of open it up for any of you to ask me questions, maybe give me specific situations that you're working with or having problems with. Yeah, I'd be happy to help any of you, push forward through AEP. Don't make me call anybody out. I can call somebody out if you want me to.
I've got a couple questions that I wrote down,
Yeah.
Josh. One, we've got folks in here that like this is their first go around. How would you describe what is OEP? Like
OEP, well, it used to be that when someone hit December 7th or right now, they are now locked in to whatever plan they have, good, bad, or indifferent. And if their doctor doesn't take the plan, like doctors have a bad habit of sending love letters this time of year after you've already locked in your answer. What positioning can you do, for those kind of things? And so I lost my train of thought. What was the question again, Dallas? I got to get back.
how would you describe to a brand new agent? You're describing
Brand new.
OEP.
Oh, OEP.
What is OEP?
You're not allowed to advertise it, but it's an opportunity. It's people on Medicare Advantage have one opportunity to change between January and March. And what that would be, the spirit of the rule and what it's for is if someone didn't look at their plan at all and now it's January 1st and they go to the pharmacy and their pharmacist goes, sorry, that'll be $800 because your prescription's not covered. But that would be a reason maybe that they'd want to change plans. And so you can use OEP to make that change. The problem is you're not supposed to technically advertise it. You're not supposed to be advertising about it. So you're not like putting ads in the paper about, hey, do you have a Medicare Advantage plan? You can change. It's more about that one-on-one reaching out. And if you don't have a book of business, if you're new, that's just what I tell everybody, you got to treat this like network marketing then. And you've got to create a list of 100 people you know, whether that's neighbors, friends, people on social media, a guy that walked by you that you know their name. Put anybody and everybody you can onto the list of 100 people. Prioritize that list to the top 10 and go after the top 10 every day. And what I mean by go after is when you're brand new, the hack that I found works best is to call everybody you know and ask them if they'll let you practice. Because if you call around and ask people, hey, I'm an insurance agent now, can I try to sell you something? Everybody's going to hang up and not talk to you anymore. But if you tell them, hey, look, I'm new in the insurance industry. I have no money. I've walked away from all salary. I'm on commission only now. And so I either sell or my family and I starve. I'm hoping that I can only afford, and this is exactly how I would say it, I can only afford to buy one lead drop, one set of leads, and I can't afford not to do well with those leads. And so I'm hoping that you'll let me practice on you. I'm not asking you to buy anything. I'm not asking you to do anything. I just need practice on people that I know to make sure I'm doing things correctly. Are you willing to let me practice on you? And it could be for life insurance. It could be for health insurance. It could be for anything. But having that position is a much different psychological thing. You're almost guilting them into helping you. And believe it or not, if you start getting people to start letting you look at their insurance, you're going to start finding opportunity. You're going to start finding bad coverage. You're going to start finding those kind of things. Let's see. I thought I saw a question. Yeah. More details about the referral process. Well, I know everyone's looking for like this magic thing, but in reality, it's not that complicated. I treat everybody like family from front to back. So front to back, the experience is different with me. And I try to purposely do that than any other insurance agent out there. So I want it to be different. So the referral process starts with creating an experience that's unique to any other insurance agent. Starts there. Then once you have a unique experience, all you really need to do now is teach people how to explain the experience. So I'll give you an example. If I give Dallas my card and then Dallas walks up to his friend and says, hey, Joshua is awesome at Medicare, you should call him. That sounds terrible. Nobody wakes up in the morning going, you know what? I want to call an insurance person today. Nobody. And so, however, if I train Dallas to say, hey, look, do you want someone that shows up before, during, and after your policy starts? Do you want someone that'll show up and give you a ride to the doctor if they need to? Do you want someone that'll, paint the picture of what you are and what your experience is? Do you want someone who always answers the phone, who always has somebody available, who's always going to show up? Do you want someone that treats you like family? Well, yeah, that sounds awesome. It's a different experience when you teach them how to paint the picture of who you are and what you do. And so for me, most people that I talk to at this point, the first sentence out of their mouth is, I got your name from blank. Now, my favorite lately, it's happened to me 4 times in the last week, where someone has called me and said, I got your name from blank and blank and blank. And this one guy told me, I got your name from 5 different people. And I figured after the 3rd one, maybe I should call you. And so it's that combination of doing things on a high level, having an experience that's unique, and then telling people about it. Because I explain to people, like, look, I hate leads. And usually when I'm in a home for Medicare, it's really easy. I say, well, where's your mail? How many Medicare ads do you get per day? And they'll bring me a pile or whatever it is. You want to create that point of pain and say, look, I can help people ignore that pile. Some of my clients, once a month, they have me come over to go through their mail pile to tell them what to throw away and what to keep. Now, most agents might look at that as a waste of time. For me, it's some of the best time I spend because it's the relationships I build. There's some clients that even if I stop talking to them for a year or 2, they would not go anywhere because of that. So the referral process, again, it starts with, what is your sales process? What does your customer service process look like? You've got to get the front end done correctly first before you can cross over for referrals. Because if your experience isn't over the top, then what do they have to refer? Because remember, when you're the one referring a business, you're taking a risk as the referrer. Because if it doesn't go well, guess who they're going to come back to and say, hey, I thought you told me that restaurant was awesome. They're going to come back and they're going to put it back on you. And people don't want to take that risk. But here's what I'll tell you. The people that refer me the most clients are the ones that after they refer someone to me, when I get a referral, I try to go over the top to make the experience better for that referral. Because what I want them to do is, after it's done, I want them to go back to the person that referred them and say, oh my gosh, I am so glad you sent me to him. That was awesome. And then now I've created a second referral partner. And here's the best part. Since I trained the first client to be a referring person, they've already trained the second client exactly how to do the same thing. They're going to say exactly what the first person said to them. They're going to use the exact verbiage. And so in essence, if you do this correctly, what you have, what I have is I have an army of people, clients, community leaders, influencers, church leaders, doctor office people, doctors themselves. 5 to 10 times a month, I get someone that says, I got your name from my doctor. And they say the doctor's name. You guys, I've never heard of or met this doctor in my life. The doctor got my name from somebody. And so again, if you do the process up front, and so referrals start with the current client. If you want to get a referral from your current client, make the experience they have so over the top that it's not there. I like your analogy of a restaurant for referrals. Thank you, Tyler. You always got my back.
What about, we had one here. Are you calling, or do you have your staff call? And talk to you about your staff. How many staff do you have? Talk about your team.
Yeah. No, I normally have 3 for AEP. I ended up going into AEP with 1 this year, which was a huge mistake. So I missed a lot of opportunity. Part of the reason why I didn't do as many apps as I could is I wasn't ready. And so for me, depending on your size of your book, I think you need to have 1 assistant for every 500 clients. So every 500 clients you should have another body in the office. So for me right now, I have 2 in staff in the flesh, and I have 1 virtual assistant. So who's calling for referrals? I guess my secondary question would be, Cindy, I'm assuming you mean who's calling for the quarterly calls? That would be my staff. And then what I do moving forward, because what's happened is I've tried to delegate and automate as many things as I could over the last year. The problem with delegation and automation is you start to get more and more things between you and your client. And so one thing I'm doing this year is on the quarterly calls, I'm going to be jumping in and making some of those calls. And I'm going to be choosing people based on who have I not talked to for a while, because I want to have that constant, even if it's once or twice a year, just them hearing my voice and being reassured that I'm still here, I haven't gone anywhere. Because what are clients used to? They're used to an insurance agent walking the walk, and then the second the policy goes active, what happens? Poof, they disappear and they never hear from them again. And so I want to remind them that that's not how this works. And if you do it correctly, and it starts with the onboarding process. So when I get a new client, the new process I've built in is each one of my staff reaches out to that client and introduces themselves, tells them what we do to help them, and how, basically we got to open the line of communication, because inevitably everyone's going to pick a favorite. So it'll happen all the time. Some people will say, well, Alma will answer the phone in my office, and they'll say, well, I want to talk to Diana, because they're used to talking to Diana, right? And so it's important when you hire staff, make sure you send out an announcement. I would send out a letter, and I would send out an email and a text announcing the new employee, what they do, who they are. The more you can get your staff involved, the better off you are. So for me, I try to do things where my job is to be in the batter's box swinging at pitches. My job's not to run the offense. My job's not to be the first base coach. My job's not to do anything else in the baseball field except for hit balls, because that's where my strength is in selling and being in front of clients. And so anything that I can do in my processes that takes something off my plate that I don't need to do in order to make a sale, I automate that or I delegate that. And so, yes, if you have a staff, I would 100% dump as many things on them that you can until they tell you to stop.
Awesome. Guys, any other questions? Any other questions? I've got a couple here. Talk a little bit more. You said, I want to ask this question. Because I have said 100 times, when I started Mutual of Omaha, they made me write down 100 people that you know and love, right? And it was the hardest thing I'd ever done. That was before even Facebook, stuff like that, right? I'm going through my mom's address book, sitting at her kitchen table going, Mom, is he still alive? What about this guy? Mm-hmm. I tell people do that all the time. What percentage of people do you think would actually do that? And if you had somebody starting today, would you have them do that still? I know you would, because you said you would. Yeah, it's
mandatory on my team. How many people do I think will do that? I would think 20%. 40% are going to pretend like they're going to. 20% will do it, and 10% will do it like they're supposed to. And the 10% that do it like they're supposed to, I can tell you guys, I have 2 people on my team that this is their rookie year, and they're both going to be well over 100 clients in their first year, from no experience to 100 clients in their first year. I think that's about as good as you can ask for in year one. I've got Lori, who's in her, literally, January of last year, this time last year, she was in my office as an admin. This year, she's number 3 behind Tyler. And she almost caught Tyler because he got caught slipping around a little bit. Just kidding. I love Tyler to death. Tyler's the closest thing you'll find to me that I've found out there. But yeah, so the ability for you to understand that you're running your own race against yourself and all these numbers that fly around. And I tell this to my team all the time. It's a blessing and a curse to be on my team. It's a blessing because you got to work with me and all that, but it's also a curse because you got to try to keep up. And like for bless his heart, I don't think he's on here. Holden, all year he's been in this contest with me for every app that either he or I beat each other by during the month. The other one owes the other one 10 push-ups per app. And I tried to give him an out for AEP because him and everybody else that goes in their first AEP thinks, oh, Joshua can do it. I can just walk into AEP and I'll do 500 apps. It sounds easy peasy, no problem. Long story short, Holden owes me about 3,600 push-ups. Okay. So you've got to do those kind of things to create momentum for yourself. But that contest Holden and I had this year, it's made him a better producer. It made me, there was a couple of months there. In June, I had one of my best months of the year simply because the month before Holden got within like 7 apps of me. And I was like, that ain't happening again. And so then I beat him by 30, right? but it's a mentality thing. And I think the Hot 100 list, if you do it correctly, and again, if you make a list of 100 and you just call through it like you hate it, and that you're just calling people and say, I'm in insurance now, please let me sell you something. Yeah, that's never going to work. But if you can use something creative, like let me practice on you, right? And do the same thing. The people that you practice on, ask for referrals for people to practice on. And from those people, ask for a purple people to practice on. And all this practice that you'll start getting will turn into live reps. That's really what you're getting. You're getting live reps. You're just tricking people psychologically into letting you do it. That's all. So yeah, Dallas, I would say if everyone on this call literally took the time to make their Hot 100 list and they work the top 10, again, making the list is one thing. Now you need to prioritize. I have 100 names. Who are the 10 most likely people to say yes to me today? That's the top 10. Work the top 10 today. Because if you try to make 100 phone calls today, that's daunting. If I just need to make 10 phone calls today, there's no one on this call that shouldn't be able to do 10 phone calls. Even me, I could make 10 phone calls while I'm getting rid of another 5 foot of drift that I still have left. Okay. And so it's an activity game. It's an activity business. The thing is you got to find activities that you like doing. So for me, I tell this to my team all the time. I hate leads. I hate them. I hate them with every passion. They're part of the business when you get into it, but every one of you should have a goal that I should be able to be lead independent as soon as possible. What I mean by lead independent is like, if you beg me to take your lead, I'll take it. And then I'll give it to somebody on my team. But for me, if someone told me, Joshua, there's no way you'll ever generate another Medicare lead in your life, boo frickety, I'm celebrating behind scenes because I don't care. I don't need a lead to survive, but a lot of you do. And so 2 tips on leads. Number 1, do it every month. Even on the months that it doesn't work right, even when you don't get a return, do it every month. Because it's when you get in that habit of perpetually doing it, it's that wave of consistency that over time creates results. Because I can tell you, there's not one of my referral partners that I could rely on 100%. It's because I have 1,000 referral partners sending me one every once in a while. That trickle effect turns into a big river if you do it right. Okay. But yeah, what other question do you have, Dallas? I'm going to go off on a tangent if you don't stop me.
No, you're good. So one thing about you, I heard Terry Bradshaw speak years ago, and it really hit a little too close to home because he was speaking, and I was in this big auditorium, and he said, some of you guys own a piece of clothing that has somebody else's name on the back of it. He goes, that's weird and it's stupid. He said, why would you ever promote anybody else other than yourself? Every time I see a picture at 8%, I can find Joshua Young's because he's got a yellow, an orange, a teal, a red sweatshirt on or whatever, polo that says Medicare Peace of Mind. Talk about how important that is to market yourself. And I know you could do 2 hours of marketing, but talk about some of the things that separate yourself and how, when's the last time you didn't wear something that said Medicare Peace of Mind?
Once in a while, my wife makes me.
And do you have pajamas that say Medicare Peace of
Well,
Mind?
I got socks. I've got pretty much everything: hoodies, t-shirts, polos. But I have everything that I like to wear. And honestly, this is a situation, Dallas, where I faked it till I made it. Because in the beginning, what I was trying to do was I wanted to have the appearance as though I was a huge company. And even to this day, when I sit down with a client, they'll look at me and they'll go, that's a nice company car they gave you. I go, yeah, my boss is pretty nice to me. And most people still don't look at me as because I don't carry myself as the owner of a big agency or anything like that. And so I'm just a regular guy most of the time. This year I did step it up where now I'm doing, I like to do sport coats and other things. And so, branding is very important, and it's more important than you think. And it's really more important than you think, only because people trust companies. People trust brands. Why? Because when you have a complaint, a corporation is going to try to fix it, right? Where a small business might tell you to kick rocks. Like, I don't need your business. Shirts and shoes, no shirt, no shoes, no service. I reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. That kind of crap. You never ever see that sign in a corporation. Not once is Target ever going to put up a sign that says, we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone, because that's opposite of the message that you're trying to get, right? And so branding for me, it started out at the very beginning. And I mean everything down to I buy the most expensive, and this is back when I first started. I had no money, but I was still buying the most expensive business card I could afford. I was buying the highest quality. Like when it came to buying my polos, I was ordering Ogio. I wasn't ordering the bargain brand. I tried to do everything at the highest level of the highest quality, down to paper. I don't buy the cheap, like I can see through it paper. I buy the 28-pound, 100 brightness, most expensive paper. Because when someone holds a piece of paper, whether it's a piece of paper that has something, or like this thing. This is like, I use high quality everything. And the brand matters. So pick a brand, pick a concept, because that's where the experience starts. So how powerful is it for me when a third of the time I sit down and I go, Medicare peace of mind. Peace of mind is what I want. And people say that to me all the time. And so it's not just a name, right? Branding's important, but yeah, so branding, Dallas, I would say is probably the one thing that was easiest for me to do. Basically, I just treat it like a uniform. But the reason I like the uniform is when you walk into a home, what's the number one, Dallas, what's the number one barrier that someone has to making a person become a client? What do they have to get?
Trust.
Okay. So if I walk in there and I'm just wearing shirts, if I'm nondescript and I'm just wearing what Dallas is wearing, which is a really nice shirt, by the way. But for me, if I'm trying to do a professional, someone that walks in branded versus someone that walks in just dressed nice, I'm going to trust the branded person more because I feel like they're following the tune of someone else's drum, like they're following corporate rules, right? And so, yeah, I don't think it matters all that much because I've written apps in flip flops and shorts. I've written apps in suits. I've written apps on the beach. I've written apps sitting at the casino next to someone on a freaking slot machine. I've written apps wherever. It's about the consistency. But what I can tell you is the app I wrote at the casino, I wouldn't have wrote if I wouldn't have been wearing the shirt that said Medicare Peace of Mind. The app that I've written at the grocery store, I wouldn't have wrote because I wouldn't have been wearing the button that said, ask me about Medicare. So does it work all the time? No, it doesn't. But every little thing that I do works enough of the time to makes all of it look pretty awesome. And so most people think it's like this big, wide open, where's all the free apps coming from? No, it's about 1,000 different little things that I've done or tried to see if they work or not. And some of the things that you would think would never work. One of my favorite, here, this is my free one for all of you. One of my favorite tactics to this day is what I call the Johnny Appleseed. And in my old FMO, they used to call me Jose Appleseed because I have a bunch of clients that speak Spanish and I don't. And somehow everybody always seems to call me. So these right here are my seeds. Okay. And I carry hundreds of these damn things with me at all times. And what I might do once in a while is when I'm in a bathroom at a urinal, I might leave one on the urinal. If I'm walking down the street, I might throw one over here. If I'm doing this, I might just happily throw my seeds wherever. And I just go around throwing my seeds. And when you have a high quality card and it looks like an ID, I get 3 calls a year from someone saying, I found your ID, and it's my business card. So branding matters, marketing matters, and consistency matters. But I get 5 apps a year from throwing my cards around randomly, littering. I litter and I get 5 apps a year from it. And so there is no wrong thing to do. The only wrong thing to do is nothing. That's my message for the day. The only wrong thing to do is nothing.
Beautiful. Hey, I know you've got some trainings that you're going to be doing. I don't know if you have any of them scheduled yet or anything like that, but tell me about what you're going to be doing and how people can jump on and learn from someone that is doing what they want to do.
I put it in the Impact group. So those of you that are on the Facebook group, go in there and check it out. And I'm doing a discount for anyone on the Impact team, but I'm doing what I call my Crush OEP Bootcamp. And I'm calling it Crush OEP because it's in OEP and I want to help you crush OEP. But in reality, what this is the second half. So I had the Crush AEP Bootcamp on how to crush AEP. This is the other half of it. If you want to know how to really crush AEP, you have to crush the rest of the year so that you have a big pile of people to work through in AEP. And so I'm doing a Crush OEP bootcamp in person in Denver, 16th and 17th of January, Monday, Tuesday. There's also a virtual option on Wednesday. Here's what I'll tell you. The in-person camp is 2 days, and I'm going to intensively put a bunch of stuff in. The webinar version, while it's better than nothing, it's 4 hours instead of 12 hours. Which one do you think you're going to learn more from? So if you can, I would come to Denver, and I would come to the boot camp. But yeah, so the 16th, 17th, and 18th of January is when the next boot camps are.
I'll tell you what I'll do. For the first person that goes in the community channel in Slack and says, whoever wasn't in, you guys can use your own words, whoever wasn't in the Wednesday webinar training, missed out, go listen to Josh's recording. We'll pay for your virtual, or we'll pay for either virtual or in person, whatever you want to do. We'll take care of it. So go in there, go to the community if you want to go, but you got to go. Don't just go in there and do it and then don't go. You got to go. There you go.
We will find you.
Joshua Rockwood is going. We're going to either, Josh, we'll get together, we'll talk, and we will, we'll get you there or get you virtually or so. I would go, man, go, freaking go. You learn so much more just by being in person and meeting. There's going to be other people there that you can mingle with and look at what they're doing. It's just, you're going to be around great people. Okay.
In essence, what I'm doing is I'm doing trainings for my team and I'm opening it up to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So
Perfect.
if you want to be under my team training, the exact same things I teach Tyler and the rest of the team. Yeah, I mean, that's what we do.
Awesome, man.
But
awesome. Well, Joshua, thank you very much. There's a lot of people that should have been on this call. We are going to record it, guys. Tell people about this. Tell people there's a ton of people. Josh, what would you think? And I'm not selling Joshua here this morning, right? But what would you say? I know Cody charges like $5,000 to come and hang out for a day. It would be well worth it to hang out for a day with Joshua. I'm not saying he's doing that or anything, but you guys got a dose here this morning of a guy that is doing it.
At this point, if I really break it down, the amount of time I put in everything, thousands of dollars an hour is what your time should be worth to you. That's what my time is worth to me. But here's what I'll tell you. I'm going to put, I've already seen it. I'm not going to name names or anything, but most major organizations this year that put scoreboards up for AEP, I can tell you personally, most of those scoreboards, people in the top 5, 10, there's one common denominator all of them had. What do you think that was?
They talked to Joshua Youngs.
They went to my Crush AEP bootcamp.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people had their best AEP ever. I'm not saying it's because of me. What I am saying is I don't tell people to do anything that doesn't work or that I haven't tried myself or that I'm not willing to go do myself. And if you're looking like with, I use Tyler a lot, but Tyler is my first example of someone who actually listened to what I say. Because a lot of people just look at it and say, you know what, that might work for you, but it doesn't work for anyone else. I promise you, if you work the system that I put out, the system works. And the best part about it is that I'm probably one of the only people out there that's going to teach you how to do a system where you have zero reliance on leads. Like leads are needed to get the thing going. But once you get it going, like I said, it's a very powerful thing. But yeah, if all of you on the team, anyone in Impact, I'm not the wizard in the tower. Okay. So be your open invitation. Call me, text me, add me on Facebook. I promise you, if you need help, there's never been someone that's reached out to me and asked me questions for help that I haven't helped. Now, I might tell you, hey, I don't have time right now, or we need to do this or that. But, if you're in a spot and you're wondering, how do I get through this or how do I get over it? Please reach out. That's what we're here for.
Guys. All right, Josh, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Guys, don't forget, Chris was the one that said we would pay for Joshua Rockwood's boot camp here. So, no, I appreciate you guys. Josh, again, thank you very much. It was well spent, and we will definitely be doing this again very, very soon.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I'm off to shovel some more snow.
Beautiful. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, see ya.